Hello, children. Welcome back to my class. Stories always carry us to a different world. It is wonderful to read about strange characters. The stories of kings and queens, fairies and demons, elves and dragons have fed our imagination. Today, let's do the story The King and the Fiery Dragon. This is an incident where a small boy named Ramesh goes to meet his grandmother in a small village called Makanbad. Like all children, he also loves to hear to the stories told by his grandmother. He also loves the delicious food that she cooks for him. After a hearty meal, Ramesh and his grandmother goes to an annual event which is held in the village. There he sees a huge rock which looked like a dragon, and grandmother narrates the story of the dragon which guarded the treasure of that village. The king attacked the dragon to take away the treasure for his wife, but the dragon defended and killed all his men and defeated the king. The dragon wanted to use the treasure for the betterment of the people and not for the king's wife, the queen. The king realized his mistake and he worked on it to do all what is good for the people of his country. People believe that after many years, the dragon turned into a rock and never left the village. This lesson teaches us not to be selfish and greedy. Now let's see some of the difficult words in the lesson. First one, fiery means of fire, burning strongly and brightly, just like a sun. Dragon. Dragon is a mythical monster, just like a giant reptile. Wrinkled. Here the sound W is silent. Wrinkled means small lines or folds formed on skin or clothes. Toothless means without tooth. Muddy, full of mud. Vast means huge. Thoroughly means completely. Composed means to write or to create a poem. Harmed means to damage or create injury. Lashed means to beat. Bury means to put underground. Realize, to understand. Now let's read the lesson. Lesson number 4, The King and the Fiery Dragon. Ramesh loves to hear stories from his grandmother. This time, when he meets her, she tells him the story of a dragon. Dragons have fascinated readers greatly, and their presence in folk tales has been there since time immemorial. The dragon in the following poem was a good creature. Let us find out why the king attacked the dragon and what happened during the battle. Ramesh felt his heart pounding with excitement as he got down at Makanbad railway station. He spotted his grandmother standing at one end of the platform looking out for him. His small bag was secure on his back. So Ramesh waved with both his hands and ran straight into her welcoming arms. The moment she saw him, her face lit up. Oh, it's just so wonderful to be together again, my child, she said in a shaky voice. He gave her a tight hug. They turned and watched the train moving away slowly. Ramesh waved at Madan uncle, who had to get down at the next station for office work. Ramesh's parents could not come with him to Makanbad, a small village with a scanty population. Fortunately, Madan uncle had agreed to bring Ramesh along. Ramesh and grandmother headed home. He held her wrinkled hand and smiled when she gave him a toothless grin. Ramesh told all about his school, teachers, friends, class, and the new boy, Amit, whom he had befriended. As they moved on the muddy path towards her small house that was not far from the station, they crossed the fields and a few huts. She told him about her pets, a cat, a parrot, and a cow, as well as her kitchen garden with lemon trees, brinjal, and tomato plants. Ramesh longed to taste the delicious food cooked by her. Ramesh knew she was an excellent cook. She had also been a good singer and composer in her younger days. After a hearty meal, Ramesh slept off. In the evening, grandmother took him to the village fair. It was an annual event held in a vast ground near a rocky hillock. Ramesh thoroughly enjoyed himself. There were stalls selling clay pots, wooden toys, baskets, vegetables, grains, and so on. The villagers greeted grandmother respectfully. Suddenly, with the beating of drums, all the villagers gathered around a huge rock that resembled a dragon and began to dance as they happily sang folk songs. Some even offered flowers to the dragon. Ramesh also cheered and clapped with them. As the sun set, they all headed home. Once back, Ramesh sat close to his grandmother and said, "Why were the people dancing around the huge rock that looked like a dragon?" Grandmother nodded. "Well, there is a story about the dragon. Most of the people believe that it watches over us." "Grandma, tell me about the dragon, won't you?" "Oh, yes, I had composed a poem when I was young. The village folk still recite it and sing it on such occasions as today." Ramesh looked at his grandmother, who sat in the candlelight and read out from an old diary. The king set out with his soldiers towards the Dragon Mountain for treasures. The queen had said, "Get it all, I want riches more. Attack the dragon and fort and break its walls and door." The fiery dragon guarded the treasure with all his might. "Back off, you won't get this, it's not right." The king yelled, "You will pay with your life. The jewels and gems will adorn only my wife." The soldiers aimed arrows, spears, and cannon. All these were of no use, as nothing harmed the dragon. He opened his mouth and let out a big flame, lashed his tail, that put the king's army to shame. His eyes were red with rage and fury. He knew they would kill him and bury, but his duty was to protect the treasure that was precious. So he turned dangerous and extremely ferocious. The soldiers were soon dead. Some down the mountain rolled. The king lost the battle, was left in the cold. All his strength and might couldn't help him win. The dragon wanted the king to realize his sin. The dragon roared, "The treasure is for the good of people." Build hospitals, schools, roads. It is quite simple. It is not for you or anyone from your family. The king made up his mind to work for the welfare of his people. Really. Ramesh stood up with excitement and shouted, "Wow, the dragon won!" Grandmother closed her diary and looked up. Yes, indeed. He did. But what do you learn from this, dear? Well, we should not be selfish and greedy. We should work for the good of others. That is my boy, said grandmother cheerfully and kissed him. She continued, people believe that after many years the dragon turned into a rock and never left the village. Right, grandma, said Ramesh. Dear children, realize one thing, if you do good to others, people will remember you always. Even after many years, the people remembered the dragon. Hope you enjoyed this story. Be good, not selfish and greedy. Thank you.